and we're going to need to define the outline of this canopy. Here's a good branch, for instance, to go ahead and explain this on. We have this large, long main branch. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, we have this long main branch here, and we have these secondary branches back down further in the tree and behind it. This obviously is too far out for where we want this canopy to be ultimately. So what we do is we remove this portion, and also there is no branching here. It's barren, and then you got a at the end, just a sprig of growth at the end. These down here and back in towards the middle of this canopy have more twigginess. So we're going to cut this one back. So what we do is we come in here with our cutter and we take it off right there. That has compressed this portion of the canopy back into the tree. We've eliminated the strong shoot in favor of the weaker shoots, which helps divert energy to the weaker shoots versus the strong shoot, because all these trees are epically dominant, meaning they want to push all the energy to the very top of the tree, the very apex of the tree. But that's compacted this canopy. So we're going to be going around the tree and doing that as well, all the way around. And I think you'll see that once we get finished with that, this tree is going to have a lot more compact look to it. And it's going to be more into scale as what we want in a bonsai as far as proportions. Or at least as far as I envision the proportions of this tree. So, continuing on with that, we're going to go ahead and do that with the rest of this tree. And this takes quite a while. Actually, it'll take quite some time to accomplish this. But it's going to compact the foliage in the canopy, which is what we're after. It's going to create a more dramatic look. It's going to make the trunk actually of the tree look larger. At the same time, bring the foliage back into scale with the trunk. Some of these other ones, like these are still kind of outside the scope of what we're trying to accomplish, but we're going to trim them afterward because we are going to be doing some wiring on this tree as well, and we like to keep our options open. And remembering that the farther up you go to the tree, the shorter or the more compact the foliage needs to become. You have to take that into consideration when you're making these cuts and doing the trimming. So we're just going to go ahead and continue to go around the tree like I'm doing currently, and cutting back all the excess foliage, and we're going to cut it back to the more interesting foliage as to compact the overall design of the tree. You definitely want to take your time when you do this. And look at every branch. Look at all your options. Figure out what's going to be best for the overall design of the tree. And this thing may look a little naked when we get finished, but that's okay because it's going to be a better tree for it in the long run. Right now it looks great. A lot of people would say I wouldn't do anything to this tree. It's a finished bonsai, but I have to disagree with that. And that's why we're doing what we're doing now. It's because you want to constantly improve your material. The only way to constantly improve your material is to constantly shape it. So we'll do a few more of these on camera, and then we'll cut to the finished product. As due to time constraints on YouTube, I can only post so much video at one time. Now, before we go, I want to discuss something with you guys. And let's see. I'm trying to think of what the best angle is to show you. This right here would be the best angle to show you. Let me go ahead and zoom in. We have some crossing branches we have to address. Well, phooey. Bear with me, guys. It's too close for me to put a tripod in here at the moment, so I'm having to use alternative methods of propping this camera up. Okay. If you look right here, this branch is crossing over the main branch. You got the main branch here, and this branch is crossing over it. It's on the back of the tree, but nonetheless it's a crossing branch. We want to try to eliminate all of those that we can. We have some options. We have this little branch here that's also crossing. We have this branch up here. Okay, those are two different branches. If we eliminate this large branch, it's going to put a giant hole in our canopy over here, and that's something that we want to avoid, obviously, because we want it to maintain the look of an old tree. We would have to regrow or grow one of these and let it grow unchecked for several years to get back to that caliper. And where this tree is in its development, I don't think that's necessary. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to take this branch, we're going to eliminate these two smaller branches here, and we're going to take this branch and we're going to cantilever and utilize this main trunk to bring this branch over just a smidge, just to get it out of that line of sight of being a cross branch. We're going to take it and we're going to go like this with it and straighten it out. It's going to still stay in the same area of canopy. It's just not going to be crossing over the main branch. So we're going to need to go ahead and eliminate these two branches here. And even when you're chopping on a trunk, you want to leave just a stub. You can always come back and clean it up later. There's no need to not leave a stub. I do it for safety purposes. I've had Japanese maples where I didn't leave a stub, and it died all the way back down the trunk, all the way clear to the root, almost like what a juniper would do, or what you would think a juniper would do. So I always, as a rule of thumb, leave a little stub for that in order for it to have a place to die back to. So now you can see, I hope, we're going to take this branch that's left right here, and we're going to wire it so it's over here more. And there's going to be some trimming we need to do up here in the upper part of the canopy to get to that point. But I'm going to go ahead and keep working on this. Go ahead and keep making cuts and decisions and bringing this canopy back in. I think you can probably already see it's looking a little barren on one side, but that's because that's the only side we've been working on. But you can already start to see this side of the canopy is more compact than this side of the canopy. So we're going to continue working on it. and we'll be back in a little while. Okay, once again we are running out of daylight. This looks like it's going to be a 3-day tree. I've gone ahead and reduced the canopy considerably. I've done my best to eliminate all the crossing branches from all angles. There's got a few angles that you're going to have crossing branches no matter what I do on this tree. But I've done my best to secure them in the proper locations in order to eliminate that from our viewing angle, which would be the front of the tree. The only thing I have left to do as far as the wiring is concerned, I'm going to end up having to wire 99% of all these small twigs and put them into position. That could take up to a day to 2 days, maybe even 3 days to accomplish that, because there's thousands of them on this tree. I need to go ahead and get this thing potted up in a pot at least so it can be established. It'll still be okay in this bag tonight, and it's probably going to end up staying in this bag tonight. I haven't yet determined whether or not I want to put it in a mica training pot or into one of my 2 foot by 1 foot mixing tub training pots, or grow pots as I like to call them. One other item on this tree that I need to do is this branch here. I don't know if you can really see from your viewing angle, but there's an area right here that's barren of any and all twigs and branches. I need to take this branch here and bring it down to about there to fill in that gap, and I'm going to have a very nice canopy and a very nice silhouette in leafless phase, which means it's going to be really good when it's in leaf. I'm having a little trouble right now making a decision on what I want to do with this branch here. These two front portions of this branch are great. This back portion of the branch juts behind the tree, and viewing it from the viewing angle, it kind of looks out of place to me. I'm not sure if you can see it in the video or not, but I'm contemplating trying to bring this back branch either forward more towards the front of the tree in this manner. It's very difficult because it's a very thick branch, and I'm not certain that I'm going to be able to do it. I'm trying to maybe bring it to here. I'm hoping I can accomplish that through wiring. I'm going to probably have to wrap these two branches together and try to pull them together with the wire. What I'm hoping doesn't happen is this branch gets pushed more towards the rear of the tree versus the rear branch coming towards the front of the tree. If I was to put this tree in one of my 2 foot by 1 foot growing containers, which is kind of why I'm leaning that direction now, I would be able to lock the tree in to the growing container via wire, so the tree would be nice and stable. And then what I've done in the past is drilled holes in the front of the container and then wrapped wire around it so I could take larger branches and move them into position without risking dislodging the tree from the soil. If I end up doing that, this tree would be in that container for 2 years, just like all the others, before I transplanted it into a mica pot. So I'm kind of leaning that direction for 2 reasons. One, to bring that back branch forward a little bit, so it's not, it kind of draws the eye up and then back behind the tree. When you look at the silhouette of the tree, you follow the nabari up. Instead of going up and out the canopy like you're supposed to, it kind of goes up and then juts back towards the back of the tree, so I need to do something with that. And another reason is I can drill a hole in the front of the pot and I can wire this front branch down here to where it needs to be as well without any issue. Both of those branches would set in 1 year's time, so that's kind of the way I'm leaning. I still have a lot of trimming to do to bring this tree down and a little bit more compact, and I'll be doing that as I go along. I've done a lot of it already. I don't know if you can tell. I'm sure that once this video is over, if you go from the end back to the beginning, you'll see, and maybe I'll do a progression shot of a before still shot and an after still shot if I can accomplish that for you. Just so you